You lucky people, you get to watch some more sped up footage of me doing some work. An explanation comes afterwards. So, sit back, relax, enjoy the music or whatever I decide to put there, and yeah, I'll give you the explanation of everything afterwards. Thank you. Okay, before I get blamed once again for not explaining what I am doing, down there is my hydrogen generator, which I'm planning to hook up to a battery and some solar cells to keep it charged, for want of a better way of putting it. There's no liquid in the system apart from what I've put into the bubblers, or as I like to think of them as flashback arresters. But yeah, I have got here my reservoir as well as my collection system. On the one side is H2, on the other side is going to be O2, splitting the hydrogen and the oxygen in the hydrogen cell down there. Gas comes up through the pipe and through there. Inside there, the reservoir sits at about that level, filled with water. So there's about that much that can be used on all three sides, which equals to about 2 to 3 liters of water. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, so from there, the hydrogen comes out of the pipe, through the loop, and through the bubbler here. So the hydrogen comes in and bubbles up in this area here, fills up with gas, and that stops any flashback. Okay, this then goes up through the pipe and into the base of this one here, which has got cotton wool at the bottom for dispersion, and then mostly filled up with moisture absorber, that stuff. Which main component is, if I'm correctly, calcium carbonate. Sorry, calcium chloride. Anyway, so that basically absorbs all the moisture out of the gas as it passes through. In there, I've put bits and pieces of catalytic converter, which I learned from watching a Cody's Lab video. Basically absorbs oxygen, so I want to get as much hydrogen as possible through this system without having any oxygen mixed in. From there goes out the top. This is a sealed device as best as I can make it. Goes out the top and into this bladder. It's basically a beach ball, which I have cut and made valves on both ends. Well, not valves, they're just pipe connectors. And then from there, it fills up this, which basically causes the wood to go up and triggers a switch. When that switch is triggered, it triggers the relay, which is what caused most of my issues. And the relay then switches on the pump over there, which is busy drying at the moment. From there, so from the bladder, it goes through and into another bubbler, just as a flashback arrestor, just in case. And from there it goes through another calcium chloride and catalytic converter material thing. And out the top it comes and into the back of the pump. Now I made the pump as best as I could out of, excuse me. Sorry about that. I went and told the baby to keep quiet. In case you didn't hear it, there was a baby crying the whole time through that. Anyway, for no reason, by the way, the baby was crying for no reason whatsoever. Not to be insensitive, but yeah, just crying for no reason. So basically, this is just a normal tire pump. This whole back section is just a motor. It's only this section here where the actual eccentric is, and that tiny little piece there is where the actual piston is. So I found that if I sealed up this whole section, put a hole in the top, it should, in theory, that hole should be where the gas comes in, or air. I've literally just sealed. As you will see in the high speed, I have just basically literally just put the silicone on. So as far as I can tell, I've sealed up all the holes. So the only other hole that would be open in this whole lot would be the hole that would go through to the motor, which I think is actually sealed up with a bearing. So hopefully, if not, oh well. And then, yeah, just the pump. And I just made sure that that was all sealed up properly as well, so that the only inlet would be that hole that I drilled. And hopefully, from there, it will be pumped up and I can start pressurizing hydrogen inside a tank, which is the final part of this whole system. If I get this sorted out, hopefully I can then move on to the next section, which is actually building the boiler. So now I've got to allow a day or 3 for the silicone to dry on that before I can test it. But I need to put out a video today, so yeah. I almost forgot. I don't know how the diagram would go, but this is for my electronics. That's my relays. They are basically one input this side. One side would be permanently on, sorry, no, not permanently on, it's normally on. The other side is normally off on the relays. So I've basically got the negatives are just wired to each other. Where's the negative wire? There. The negatives are just wired to each other just so that I've got one common negative. Sorry, that one there is the negatives. One common negative for everyone. And I've got one common positive here. That just runs into the switch. On this side of the relay, I have got the normally on is wired. Oh no, that's not normally on, that's the pump. That's the switch on. Okay, so the normally on is wired to normally on is wired up to this switch here, which is a 3-way switch. It's either normally on or off, or normally off. I've got it wired into the normally on circuit so that it's okay, and then from there it runs through from the normally on circuit. It runs around to the to switch on this relay. So as long as this switch is not switched, this relay is on. And then from this relay, I have got my common positive coming through to this switch, which is also wired up the same way as normally on, and this switch is wired up to the on of the relay of this side. And the pump is the pump would be wired to the normally off position on the relay. So in other words, when this relay is on, this relay is off, and when this relay is off, this relay is on. So in other words, when you see a light here, that means the bladder is filling. When you see a light here, the bladder is draining. That's the theory, because it has a little light built into it and all that kind of stuff. Switches here are literally just to trigger the relay switch over. So when you trigger this switch, the relay switch over happens. Let me see if I can power it up and show you in real time. Okay, so at the moment so that's the bladder filling stage. Bladder's filling. It reaches the top switch, which triggers, and it switch over. This would normally switch on the pump, but as you can see, I haven't got the pump wired in because it's busy drying the silicone. And then it would drain. When it reaches the bottom, it triggers the switch at the bottom. It triggers the switch at the bottom, which switches the whole lot over. We've got wires in the way there. Try to make them all the correct length. There we go, switch over. There we go, and it slowly lets out, and when it gets to the bottom it goes click. Yeah, see, so that's filling and that's draining. Ta-da! All running off of 12 volt, including the the separator there. I got the idea for the separator from the DIY science guy. I'm going to put a link to both the videos that I've referenced down in the bottom of in the comments below. Well, not in the comments, in the description. Okay, so that's me working in the garage. I do have a few more things that I need to do, but that will be for a later video. I don't know when I'll be able to post that one, but this one at least I said I was going to post one this week, so I have done it, and I'll be posting this one as soon as I have edited it. Yeah. The reason for all of this is actually I'm trying to build a boiler, for want of a better way of putting it. I need to make a steam-powered car, and I don't want to use fossil fuels to power it. So yeah, I'm going to try. My next step is to try and build a boiler using the hydrogen gas that I'm collecting. We'll see. Anyway, as I said before, I will post the links in the description below to both the Cody Labs video and the DIY Scientist video that I have based most of my system off of. Thank you.